Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the M53 M55, the Tier 9 American SPG, located on the south seaboard of Prokhorovka. It's under the command of the Royal Penguin. Yes, we are doing a series of his replays at the moment. They were all submitted at the same time. And, well, he's going to take the M55 out because that's the 203mm howitzer. Game started. Now, I suppose we should count our blessings and say that we're rather lucky that Wargaming gives this Arty 20 rounds to play with. And the reason for that is that the real M55 could only actually carry 10 rounds in total. That's all it was capable of carrying. 10 rounds of 203mm ammunition. That was including the charges as well to launch the shell, because it was two-part ammunition, which meant obviously that the shell and the propellant charge were separate and they have to be loaded one by one. Now, I don't know if you've seen it, but there is a rather good in the Chieftain's hatch, or inside the Chieftain's hatch, which covers the M53, and the M55 is identical. Well, first shot lands alongside that Carnarvon, and he's picked up some hit points, and he moves to avoid counter battery. Now, originally the M55 could fire one round every 2 minutes. That's how long it actually took to load the shell and adjust the vehicle to make sure that the shell was accurate. With the 155mm gun, the M53 had 20 rounds of 155mm shells, so it could carry twice as many, but that's because the shell is slightly smaller. So again, I suppose we're lucky that they actually give us more 155mm shells in the game to play with. Now, this Arty was actually used in Vietnam. It was also bought by the Belgians, by Turkey, by Spain, West Germany, Taiwan. So quite a few nations actually bought the M53, M55. And of course it was the M53 was used by the US Marine Corps, whilst the M55 was used by the US Army. Rounds out, direct it! Now, the standard reload time is 40.27 seconds, but you can see here the Royal Penguin, I almost said the Steel Penguin, the Royal Penguin's actually got it down to 32.67 seconds. He's not only using premium consumables, he's probably got a good crew, a rammer, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's got vent purge as well, and vents on the vehicle to really boost the reload. Lining up a shot, guy keeps trying to fool him. Well, he fired short, but the shell went long and he got 490 off that one, which is a non-penetrating shot because the alpha for this Arty is 1050 and it'll penetrate through 52mm of armour. Okay, we've got a Emil moving in now, and the Emil, although it does have strong turret armour, it doesn't have very strong armour on the actual hull, so if you fire a round at it, you're more than likely going to badly damage it if the shell lands nearby. Okay, IU-251 Spar Panzer. Oh, he just took a round. I think that was from the hill. Just moved into range, and that's a very bad move actually for a light tank. If you move close to the railway line, there's a pretty good chance that one of the tanks that's sitting up on the hill will get a shot into you. And there's an IS up there as well as a T26. Is that an E4? Yes, it is. It's an E4. So that's the 90mm gun on a Super Pershing hull. That's out. And he just wiped out the Scorpion G, so he's got his first kill of the game. Not bad at all. Now, can he do something about this Emil too? He's only intermittently being spotted. We do have guys up there, but they just don't seem to be spotting the tank. And I think the E4 and the IS are just outside spotting range, but they're moving closer, so they might be able to give us spot on target. That M103 is being spotted from further south Or is he being spotted by the guys at the side? He's gone back to the Emil. Okay, let's see what he can do with this one. Lines it up. That's out. Well, it didn't show us any damage, so I wonder actually if he did get the shell near the target or if he just stunned it. The Carnarvon's a one-shot. He's actually only got bare minimal hit points left. And that IU-251 just met a rather nasty end at the hand of our Scorpion, who's way to the south. And there goes the T-54 Mod 1. Well, it looks like somebody hit the Emil too, and I suspect it might be the Royal Penguin, because he is missing quite a lot of hit points. And now he's missing some more. Okay, he's going for the kill on the Emil. Using premium ammo now. Yes, he got him! So he's got his second kill. Now, the Carnarvon would be an easy kill. He's checking to the back because there's the enemy Arty. He's been spotted, but he's not moving, which either means he doesn't have sixth sense or he's just not bothered that he's about to get splattered. Just sit there like that. You're going to take a round. It's going to go straight through you. Oh, he's moving. He's finally realised what the sixth sense means. Or is he just adjusting his position? And he's now out the game. Nice shot. Well, Royal Penguins decided to move to the other side of the map. There's just only so many shots you can take on that next to the railway line before you do get into trouble. But seeing as the enemy team doesn't have an Arty anymore, he can't be counter-batteried. He's just getting over here in a sense to either get better shots on the enemy or to support his team on this side of the map. Well, first target it appears to be going for is that up to the railway line again. There's an ISM up there now. Firing blind. It sometimes does work. I can tell you that, because even today I was blind hitting some targets, and you know they're there, and you just pump one in, and all of a sudden you get a surprise. The ISM has relocated, or at least he did. Dialing in. Let it get tight before you shoot. Well, Royal Penguin keeps coming out of Arty view after he's fired. I'm not sure if he's getting the habit of accidentally hitting the keys and moving directly. But the M103 just died to our Scorpion, so he's got 2 kills now. I hope it's not a habit for me, because the thing is, when you fire like that, you don't get to show the audience exactly what you did to the enemy. And that's why they watch the video, because they want to see you kill the enemy. And he's done it again. Yeah, you really need to be careful about that. You see, if you keep doing shots and then looking away immediately after you've fired, then obviously we can't see what's being done. Well, to avoid you doing it again, I'm just going to take control of the camera, and even if you do pull away, we'll still get to see what happens to the shot. Okay, he's just centering his arc. He's actually decided he's going to go back to that position again, and I'm going to take control of the camera at this point, so even if he does pull away, you see, he doesn't need to relocate after he shoots. Simply because, there goes the strip, simply because there's no counter battery now. There's no enemy Arty out there to take him out of the game. So I don't understand why he's immediately relocating after he fires the shell, because it's just not necessary. Well, he's looking ahead of the guard. The thing you should be doing is looking as far ahead of the guard as he can actually see directly. So you should be looking a few hundred yards ahead. So he did that correctly this time. And I didn't take charge of the camera. And therefore, I missed that shot myself. That was my mistake, because I let him have the view back to see what he was following. And then he did the same thing again. Yeah, don't relocate after... Don't take the camera off the target after you shoot, because if you do, people won't watch your videos, because they'll say, well, it's not worth watching them. We're not going to see anything. Done it again! Well, he did get the kill, but we missed it because you did that. So I guess I'll just have to say to the Royal Penguin, sorry, if you're going to submit an Arty replay to us in the future, we'll just have to reject it, because no matter how well you do in the replay, you just won't let us see what happens in the video. Now I'm going to take control of the camera this time to see exactly what happens, even if you pull away. As you see, he moved immediately after he fired, so he must have come out of Arty view. He killed the Glenarvan, so he's got his 5th kill, but he's ruining the game as a replay, because who wants to see somebody who fires and then looks away from the target, doesn't even bother to see if he's got the kill, only watches to see what the screen says? Well, he's looking down where the enemy tank was last seen, in that vicinity. He's not loaded yet. Now he is. He's adjusting his aim. Looks like he's going for the bushes. The Scorpion should be able to see the enemy tank if he is down there. It's the Lance and Seed that we're looking for. And they're saying to the other ones, go to the cap. And yes, they should cap. They should put some pressure on the enemy to make them reappear. Yeah, it must be that the enemy tanks are up on the hill, or certainly on the other side of the railway line, which is why our guys have gone over there. It's more than likely that the AE Phase 1 and the Guard are going to notice the enemy. In fact, they're now saying, yeah, we need to get into the cap, because we're running short on time. If they don't cap, you can't win this game if you can't find all the enemy and kill them. So somebody has to be in the cap, and we need 2 tanks in now, because the amount of time has expired that it's not possible to win the game with just 1 capping on their own. Well, thankfully, the SU-130PM has realised this. The enemy Lance and Sea has been seen. He's right down at the other end of the map, and he's dialing in on the target. Let's see if he can get the kill. He fires, and then he moves away immediately, even though you don't have to, because there's no Arty left on the enemy team. So why are you relocating after each shot? It really does not make sense at all. There's the T-30 right up on top of the hill. He is a one-shot. So I'm going to stay with this. We need a little more time to get the kill. Can you get the shot in? Oh, he did fire! And yes, he did get the T-30. It's not showing up, but he did kill it because it came up on the screen. And they killed the Lanson C, so they got all 15 kills. And here's the end of battle results. And it was an ace tanker for the Royal Penguin in the M53 M55. He managed to get a Bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. He managed to get 19. A Gauze medal for doing more damage than 8 times the hit points of his own vehicle. A Top Gun for getting at least 6 kills. And he also managed to get a High Caliber for dealing the most damage in the game. But despite that, he just didn't let us see most of the damage he was doing because he kept looking away after he fired his gun and relocating when there was no reason to relocate, simply because the enemy Arty had already been killed. So there was no point in trying to relocate and looking away, simply because there was nobody who was going to counter battery him at that moment. Let's have a look at team score. Well, you can see here he did the most damage in the game with 5,567 hit points of damage. The next high scorer being the ISU 152 with 3,531 hit points. And after that it was the T30 on the enemy team with 2,996. When it came to kills, he had the highest number of those with 6. 3 kills went to the ISU 152, 2 kills to the Scorpion, at least, yes it is the Scorpion, and also the SU 130 PM and the T30 on the enemy team. And when it came to base XP, he's got the highest in that as well. So the top in all 3 columns, 1,366 base experience points to the Royal Penguin, 1,044 to the SU 130 PM and 980 to the ISU 152. And he fired 17 rounds, got 9 direct hits on the enemy, 3 penetrations, 13 splash. Damage of 5,567 hit points, all of it at more than 300 meters. Damaged 9 of the enemy, killed 6, did 1,599 hit points of stun assist off 10 stuns, and he managed to get 46 capture points right at the end by sitting in the cap. With a premium count, he earned 45,028 credits, got 90,000 credits from personal mission payouts, and after ammunition, resupply and consumables, and yes, he did fire a fair amount of premium ammo in that game, he ended up with a profit of 19,932 credits. In fact, if he'd actually had a free-to-play account, he would have made a loss. But thankfully, because he had a premium account, he actually did make a profit and break even. I suppose the answer there really is not to use so many so many premium rounds in a game, because and just keep a few to spare just in case the enemy gather together in numbers, so you can maximize the amount of damage you can do. But if you fire premium rounds virtually all the time, then you're going to run up an absolutely massive ammunition bill, although you might actually get some benefit from a few shells where the enemy groups together. Most of the time you're just going to be wasting a lot of money when you could just do it with standard HE. He got 1,366 XP times 2 for the first victory, took away 4,098 experience points altogether. So he says a very filthy carry in the M53, M55. Well, it's not filthy to artillery players. I mean, that's quite a good game actually. An ace tanker, Gauze, Top Gun and High Caliber. It shows you're doing your job very, very efficiently. The only thing I would say though, and I think everyone will be reiterating this or maybe actually making the same comment, if you're going to shoot at an enemy, do watch to see what happens to the shell, because if you pull away to relocate to avoid counter battery, then obviously the audience gets deprived of the view of actually seeing the enemy struck or seeing where your shell went, how accurate you were with the shot. And of course that makes very bad videos, because all you see every time is somebody pressing the fire button, looking away, and then you just see a result. You don't know where the shell went. It might have missed one player altogether and landed in a different postcode. But you're never going to get to know that unless you actually see where the shell falls. Now, I could quite understand if the enemy is being very, very good at counter battery, that yes, you don't want to get hit, but most of the shells you fired were after the enemy Arty had already been killed, so there was no point in relocating. You could have watched everything that happened to the shell after you fired and just sat there and stayed there for the rest of the game. So it just seems a bit pointless. So the one thing I will say to the Royal Penguin is, if he does send in replays concerning tanks, we will consider those. But if he's going to send in replay for an Arty, I'm afraid we won't do it, because there's no point. If you're going to send us a replay where you're not going to watch what happens to the shells, we're just not going to record it. So I'm sorry, but that's the rules, and I'm setting the rules here and saying the moment you send us a replay where you're going to not watch the enemy after you shoot, then we're just not going to consider the video in any future. So there you go. I hope other people take note of that, because I know there's more than a few people who actually do fire their Arty and then immediately look away and move their vehicle to avoid counter battery. But he's not the only player who actually relocates even though there's no enemy tank or enemy Arty to counter battery him at the time. So yeah, I'm afraid we're just going to have to say from now on, if you look away, then we won't consider your replays. So if you enjoyed that replay, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And thank you for watching.